Did paper airplanes exist before the invention of the plane? Paper darts was the common terminology for them before airplanes existed. Think about this, kites have been around since /9500 years BCE. LPT, your first job will demand everything, but remember no company will ever care about you more than you care about yourself. Burnout isn't a badge of honor. Set boundaries early, prioritize your health, and don't sacrifice your well-being for a job that would replace you in a week. Treat yourself as the CEO of a company that sells your labor, and make the best decisions for your company, not theirs. One thing I learned early on. The good workers, the efficient hard-working people, get the most work to do. If you need something done, it doesn't go to the slacker, just to the one who can do it, regardless of how many hours it takes them. But both will get paid the same. What's the most underrated app you swear by? Merlin Bird ID is great. My whole life I've just been walking past all of these hundreds of birds every day and ignoring them. But when you can identify them and recognize their calls, it really opens up a whole new world. I get excited when the seasons change and new species start showing up. Even more when I see a bird I don't recognize. I love walking out in the morning and just listening to all the bird calls and being able to pick out each of the birds singing. The Notes app, it's a diary, therapist, and cookbook all in one. Finch. Sounds daft, but you make a list of stuff you need to get done, and by doing them you get points to dress and buy stuff for your little bird. It includes exercises, meditations, and you can add friends. I'm in my 50s and when I'm depressed it reminds me to brush my teeth and do self-care. It's great. What ruins a burger? When the bun disintegrates faster than your hopes and dreams. If it falls apart when I try to eat it. When there's so many layers that it has to be held together with a skewer, or you end up having to eat it in pieces as it's all fallen apart. When it's too tall to bite. Hate that. Make burgers wider, not taller. Soggy bun / low quality bun. What small thing do poor people notice in middle class houses, that middle class people have no idea marks them as middle class? Growing up, I always thought my friends that had stairs, aka a 2-story single family home, were rich honey. Y'all got 2 whole floors. It's like a house on top of a house. Name brand snacks. Never had handy snacks, Gushers, Hi-C, Lunchables, etc., as a kid. I love that I can afford them now that I'm 38. Kids having their own room. The big pantries behind an actual door that are just full of food. LPT, easy way to obliterate Amazon labels with your name and address before you throw them away. I worked at an Amazon FC for several years. You can rub those labels completely off with a Clorox wipe too. For those of you who want to do it safer, use a hair dryer. I soak the boxes in various acids, dry them in an industrial oven, put the remains through multiple blenders, and then drive the remnants across state lines to be buried at 3 a.m. Switching license plates a few times along the way, of course. My dad got into using a spray bottle and rubbing alcohol. Less of a fire risk people can try. What's a modern trend you hope disappears in the next 5 years? Having to create an account for literally everything online. It's annoying having to create passwords and keep track of them. Subscriptions for features in cars. Not owning media. The fuck you mean I can't download my ebooks that I bought anymore? Apps. Everything requires an app now. Why do I need an app to set up my printer? Treating politicians like celebrities instead of public servants. To foot by eating a pancake that went bad in my car and discovering I had cancer. Yeah, you're damn lucky you went to hospital and they discovered all the other things wrong with you. R/failed successfully, I guess. Also, sorry you had to deal with all of that. My sister had ovarian and uterus problems from a young age, and now doesn't have any reproductive organs because of it. Luckily you found out about the creepy tumor babies before the pain started. It is awful. Took 3 ER visits for them to finally take mine out, only lost 1 ovary. Mine also had hair, and brain tissue. Grimacing face. Speedy recovery to you, friend Red Heart. For the but her emails, crowd, what should the fallout from the Signal text chain be? At the very least, they should have to take a mandatory how not to commit crimes in writing workshop. A person with the lowest security level security clearance knows it's classified. Hell, people with no security clearance know it's classified. Some people need fired. They should lose unsupervised access to technology. Mark Carney just said, "The old relationship we had with the United States based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation is over. What do you think about that?" Canadians have been saying this for months. If it's a surprise, it's because you weren't listening. At this point, even if a Democrat somehow got elected, the damage is done. Any potential ally has to consider that the US may change its allegiance every 4 years. In the past, this was never a concern. Fuck Trump for ruining 200 years of diplomacy. I find it to be incredibly sad. The US and Canada are unique and share centuries of history together. It will never be the same. Well, you know, when the leader of the country you share a long undefended land border with starts making noises about annexing you, and then the person who seems to be running that country despite distinctly being not elected remarks that Canada isn't a real country, which has frequently been a claim made by Russia about Ukraine, you start to feel like you might need to put your elbows up to foot by accidentally becoming the neighborhood crow whisperer. This is my life now. They have gatherings and tell other crows, this can last for many years. I live in a very small state and have been friends with them for a few decades now. You can train them to collect specific things to receive treats. They are scarily smart but overall sweet and harmless. You've already committed and they absolutely keep generational grudges, so you're locked in now. It would be a shame if they learned to bring you bills that are legal currency. That's definitely not a foo at all. Crows are excellent companions and I'm jealous. LPT, use the Ford method when you don't know what to say in conversation. Panicking. So what do you dream about? I thought the F was for food. Family makes more sense, but some people just can't stop talking about food. Put my cat to work. That sounds scammy if they make you buy the uniforms and then demand them back but don't reimburse you. It should be one or the other. That's why you win the lawsuit, I'm sure. If you were forced to purchase the items, they aren't company property. If they wanted them back they should have paid for them at the start or paid you back the amount you paid for them. How would you feel about the UN being called in to monitor us elections from now on? Who would be calling the UN in to do this? Yeah, I'll take things that will never happen for $1,000, Alex. Regular people hear the UN and think it's some futuristic one-world government that has gotten over every dispute and is the pinnacle of humanity united. The UN has all the conflicts of interests, biases, power struggles that any other governing body has. The premise is a misunderstanding of what the world is. I'd love to know what people think the UN is. Like and subscribe.